Have you ever really thought about that deep, kind of spiritual connection people have with nature? It's a relationship that's been around forever, across all kinds of cultures. But what if I told you that the actual, serious study of this connection kicked off in the middle of a storm? A literal storm.
So this was the big question scholars were wrestling with back in the early 2000s. You had people in anthropology, religion, history. They were all kind of touching on the subject, but they were all in their own little bubbles. What they really needed was a common ground, right? A place to actually talk to each other and build a real solid field of study.
And this is where the story gets wild. I mean, the whole blueprint for this new academic world was hashed out not in some stuffy library, but on a beach in Florida with a hurricane spinning just offshore. It's a crazy origin story and one you're not going to forget. Now, to really get why that stormy meeting was such a huge deal, we need to rewind just a little bit. Let's look at what things were like before this all came together. The interest was definitely bubbling up. There was this huge project, the Encyclopedia of Religion and Nature, that brought hundreds of scholars together intellectually. But once it was done, everyone just scattered back to their own departments. It left this big, obvious gap, a need for a permanent home. And you gotta love this quote from one of the founders, Braun Taylor. Check out the word he uses, habitat. See, they didn't just need another conference or another journal. They needed a living, breathing ecosystem where these ideas could grow and bump into each other and create something totally new. Okay, so let's get back to that beach. This is it. This is the moment that what would become the International Society for the Study of Religion, Nature, and Culture, or the ISSRNC, was really born. And once the idea took root, things moved so fast. I mean, you have talks in the late 90s, then this key meeting in 2005, and from there, bam! Within just 2 years, they'd held a massive international conference and launched a full-on academic journal. You really can't make this up. The source material talks about long discussions interspersed with adventures along the beach, and for some, in the turbulent ocean. It's just the perfect metaphor, isn't it? In the middle of all this chaotic natural power, they were creating a whole new kind of intellectual order. And hey, this wasn't just some philosophical chat session on the beach. No way. They got down to business. In the middle of that storm, they hammered out the practical, nitty-gritty groundwork for the whole organization. They didn't just leave with an idea. They left with an action plan. So with that foundation in place, the next chapter was all about one thing, growth. And this little society, born on a beach, pretty much exploded onto the world stage. First up, Gainesville, USA. Okay, so this was their first big test. You build it, but will they come? Well, the answer was a huge yes. Less than a year after that beach meeting, almost 200 people from all over the planet showed up in Florida. It was proof that the habitat they dreamed of was something people were desperate for. Next stop, Morelia, Mexico. So was that first conference just a fluke? Could they keep the momentum going? That's what made the second one so important. And by holding it in Mexico, they sent a clear message. This is a truly international society, not just a North American club. The community was getting stronger. And then it was time to cross the Atlantic. From the Americas, the next big leap was obviously Europe. The third conference in Amsterdam planted their flag firmly on a new continent, and that brought in a whole new wave of scholars and different ways of thinking. And finally, they headed way down under. Think about this for a second. In just 4 conferences, over about 5 years, they created a genuinely worldwide network. The conference in Perth brought in tons of folks from Australia, New Zealand, and Asia, cementing their global status. It was just an incredibly fast expansion. But what's really, really important here is how they built this community. It wasn't just about getting bigger and bigger. It was about creating a very specific, very intentional kind of intellectual space. Okay, so this is the key. They made a very deliberate, and you could even say radical choice. In a field that could easily just be about environmental activism, they decided the society would not be an advocacy group. Its only job was to be a nonpartisan space for serious scholarship open to anyone and everyone. That commitment is what gives the field its power. They called it a taboo-free inquiry zone. I just love that phrase. It means you can ask the hard questions. You can challenge the popular opinions. The goal isn't to agree. The goal is good scholarship. And like they said, good scholarship depends on good contrarians. This whole idea of open, tough debate is baked into their DNA.
Now, conferences are amazing, but they're temporary. The society needed a permanent record, a place where all these new, groundbreaking ideas could live on and be debated for years. And that's where their journal comes in.
I mean, just look at the kind of stuff they publish in their journal. We're talking about everything from the spirituality in the movie Avatar, to the religious world of plants in the Amazon, to astrology, to sacred places in Africa. It just shows you how vibrant and relevant and, frankly, how cool this field has become. And so that brings us back to today. The work that started on that stormy beach feels more important than ever, right? In an age of huge environmental challenges, maybe trying to understand our deep, complicated spiritual ties to the natural world isn't just an academic thing. Maybe it's essential for all of us. What do you think?